Hey, so this video and quiz is meant to help you become familiar with the policies of this class and know what to do and what not to do, and ultimately how to be successful in this class. So as we're going through this video and quiz, please keep a blank sheet of paper next to you and write down any questions that you have so you can ask them later. Sometimes going through disclosures can be a bummer because it feels like a lot of rules and a lot of consequences, but just keep in mind, every policy in this class is meant to kind of save you from your instincts, right? Save you from like yourself. It's just meant to help encourage you to do the best things possible in order to ensure your success and ensure your best learning situation. Most of you are not going to run into any of the problems that are listed on this disclosure because the way I run the class kind of facilitates the best possible process. It'll only be a few of you who ever run into any of the issues that are outlined here. But it's really important for you all to know, just so you know exactly the roadmap to success in this class. So if you can take out your paper copy of your disclosure that I gave you, you'll need it next to you as you're going through this assignment, because I'm not going to mention every single thing on the disclosure, but you still need to read all of it, right? If you don't have a paper copy of the disclosure, it's available on Canvas. It's available also on my Canvas homepage. So please make sure you have a copy of that in front of you, or split screen, or do what you need to do just so you are clear and have read the whole disclosure by the end of this assignment. Really, knowing the disclosure is the best roadmap to understanding how to do well. So the course objectives for this class are really the same objectives for any English class you've ever taken: improving your reading, writing, communication skills, and thereby improving your overall thinking and analytical skills, reading important texts that are important culturally in our culture and in our community, and then improving the mechanics and conventions of your English language skills so you can do well on the ACT, prepare you for your next year in English class, and also prepare you for your college or your professional life going forward. There are required materials that you need to have in class every single day. This is a non-negotiable. It's school. You got to come to school prepared. And the things that you need, we're going to go into details about this later, but the basic things that you need every single day in English class are a fully charged and ready to go laptop, a few highlighters of assorted colors, and basic writing utensils, a pen and a pencil. So please make sure you have those basic things every day. You'll also need some sort of place to put all of your English stuff that's organized, whether that's a 3-ring binder or a folder, that's up to you. But you need to have everything that I give you in class every day with you in an organized way. You'll also need loose leaf paper. You'll need, if I assign a book to you to read, you'll need to bring that to class every single day as well. You also need to join the Remind app so I can communicate with you, you can communicate with me, and I can remind you of important things in the class. We're going to talk about the grading policies of this class and the way that assignments are set up. But just know that the way that assignments are set up are to help this growth mindset outlook on learning and grading, right? So there will be times in this class when you're frustrated, but if you have the grit and perseverance to push past that frustration point, that's where you start getting high level of skills and a high level of confidence, right? But a lot of students, they give up and get frustrated before, sorry, the lights go out. They give up and get frustrated before they ever get past this frustration point. So just know that if you're feeling frustrated, you can move past it. And once you move past that frustration point, then you can really start to gain skills and confidence in the class. And the grading is set up that way. So you might be familiar with a 1, 2, 3, 4 point, 1, 2, 3, 4 mastery scale. We do that in this class, but we don't use the 1, 2, 3, 4. We use points instead. I find that students just find points more straightforward in terms of how things are weighted. But just know that the point system is still based on a mastery scale. So if you're getting between a 91 to 100%, that's a mastery, and so on and so forth, right? So interpret your grades as if you're getting between an 81% or a 90%, you have an understanding of the concept, you did a good job, but you're not mastering the concept yet. I get a lot of students who are like, I turned in the assignment, how come I don't have 100%? Well, compliance is not the same as mastery, right? So if you demonstrated that you were proficient on the skill, then you probably got between 81% or a 90%. If you demonstrated that not only were you proficient, but you mastered that skill to a point where you could consistently apply it and transfer it to a different situation, that's mastery. So this is not one of those classes where if you turned it in, you get 100%. You have to do the assignment and do it well to get 100%. So keep that in mind. But with the way that I have weighted our grades in this class, you'll have, pretty much every class period, you'll have a formative assignment, which is an assignment that's meant to build your skills and practice your skills. The grading weights in this class are meant to make it so that you can do poorly on a few of the formative assignments, because nobody expects you to be perfect on the first try, second try, third try. You can do poorly on a formative assignment and still get an A because your benchmarks are weighted almost half of your grade. So think about it that way. So benchmark assignments are like tests. They're kind of the final snapshot of the result of all of that practice work leading up to it. So you'll have about 2 to 4 tests per term, but a lot of formative assignments that are meant to help you build your skills along the way toward those tests, right? Then we also have a separate category of assignments that's like the bell ringers, and those are always going to be like the mechanics and the basic building blocks of language type of assignments that'll happen at the beginning of every class. We have behavioral guidelines in this and every class at this school, but behavioral guidelines just means what you should do and what you shouldn't do and what will happen if you do things that you shouldn't do, right? Again, 90% of you are never going to have an issue with any of these things. This is just for the outlier 10%, right? But the basic rule in this class is that we just need to, as Bill and Ted would say, be excellent to each other. Just be nice, right? So when you start to not be nice, that's when things are going to get sticky, and that's when it's going to get weird, right? But if you're just nice and cool and polite all the time, we're not going to have any issues. But just know that if you say anything discriminatory or say anything that is racially inappropriate, or say things to people in a way that is derogatory, or engage in speaking any slurs or anything like that, that becomes a legal issue, and I'm required to report it regardless of whether or not you meant it as a joke. So just know that, yeah, you need to be a nice person because morally that's the right thing to do, but you also legally need to be a nice person because we don't want to have to get into reporting stuff. Along with behavioral guidelines, just know that I expect you to be prepared for class every single class period. And if you're not, it'll affect your citizenship. And by prepared, I mean having that list of things that we need to have in class every day, which is a binder, a computer, writing utensils, all that good stuff. And then participating in class, just participating in our discussions, being present and being willing to share your ideas. That's really, really helpful and encouraged in this class. Sophomores, for some reason, struggle with hall pass use. So when you use a hall pass in this class, there's a few things that need to happen. But the first thing, before we talk about any of that, just know that you should not be using the hall pass every time you have English class. You shouldn't even be using the hall pass every week you have English class. You should be using the hall pass maybe once a month, if that, right? Because you should be able to structure your life in a way where you can use the facilities before class or in between classes or at lunch, right? So a hall pass use should be occasional. You should not be asking every time you have English class. That's number one. Number two, you should be polite about when you ask to use the hall pass, right? Please do not ask to use the hall pass in the middle of a lesson, right? So if you can wait, which should be 90% of the time, right? Ask me after I'm done teaching and we're working on things in class individually. If you have an emergency, of course, there are exceptions. If you have an emergency, you still need to check in with me before you leave the room because I'm legally responsible for your whereabouts, but I'm not going to say no for you to use the hall pass unless it really is an inappropriate time for you to leave, unless you're one of those people who likes to be shady when it comes to hall pass use. So if you use the hall pass to go chat with your friends, or go make a phone call, or go to the vending machines, or run to your car for a second, any of those reasons to use the hall pass is misusing the hall pass. So if you misuse the hall pass, then no more hall passes for you at all. Okay, obviously, I'm hoping all of that is self-explanatory. Just be cool and reasonable and polite with the hall pass, and it'll be fine, right? We have assigned seats in this class. I know you don't love assigned seats, but I don't assign seats just to be controlling, just for fun, right? They have a lot of reasons why I have assigned seats, and they're all very thoughtful and specific reasons. So just sit in your assigned seat, please, and don't make it weird. Thank you so much. Cheating. I have a lot of students. There's just been a lot of cheating recently at Viewmont High School, and it's partially because we live in a time where it's really easy to cheat, right? Just because it's easy to cheat doesn't mean that it's okay to cheat, and doesn't mean that it's morally right to cheat, right? And the consequences for cheating are pretty steep here at Viewmont High School. But what's more important is I get a lot of students saying things like, I didn't know that that was cheating, right? So let's be real clear about what cheating is. Cheating is submitting work in this class or any class that did not come from your own brain and your own brain alone, right? So if you're having your parents or your friends do your homework, that's cheating. If you're turning in an assignment from a friend that they worked on, but you didn't, that's cheating. If you're turning an assignment that you didn't do all of the work yourself, that's cheating, right? If you're purchasing information from the internet, that's cheating. If you're using AI written stuff, partially or fully AI written work, that's also cheating, unless it's part of the assignment, which it will be sometimes. But for the most part, anything that you did not create yourself on an assignment that was meant for you to create yourself, that is cheating. There will be some assignments where you're meant to use work from AI or work from the internet, but it always needs to be cited, which is a fancy way of saying you need to give credit to people whose work you borrowed it from. If you're using other people's work that you didn't give them credit and you're trying to pass it off as just your own work, that is cheating. It's cheating. It's not right. But the most important thing to remember is that at Viewmont High School, we are Vikings, and Vikings, when the wind does not blow, Vikings row, which means that when you're presented with a challenging situation, you work through it and you have the grit to address it in an honest way, rather than trying to find a cheat code and a workaround. So as Vikings, cheating and dishonesty is not appropriate. It's not okay. Don't do it. Here are the things that will be an issue with me personally as a teacher. Every teacher is different, and these are my pet peeves. So if I tell you about them now, you can just avoid them, and then we'll never have an issue. So the first pet peeve is talking while I'm talking. Please don't do that. It's high school. Hopefully, I will never have to remind you or tell you not to talk when I'm talking, because that's just like a given. Please don't be that person. If I give you in a handout, it was meant for you to keep, and it was meant to be reused over time throughout the term. So please keep everything that I give you, keep it in an organized thing. Don't leave it at home. Don't lose it. So I have to give you another one. Just be responsible with the stuff that I give you. Don't steal my stuff. I have a lot of stuff that in here that was purchased with my own money. Please don't steal it. If you borrow something, put it back. I know it seems obvious, but obviously if I had to make a slide about it, it's an issue. So don't steal my stuff. Don't be that person. Also, don't vandalize my stuff. Don't draw on the tables. Don't draw on the chairs. Don't peel off the stickers. There's a lot of stickers in my classroom. Oh my goodness. So I have students who really think that this is Hogwarts for some reason. I will have kids come in with a full, untouched value meal from Chick-fil-A and expect to spread it out and kick back and have a little mini banquet right there in class. That's not appropriate. It's rude, not cool, right? However, if you need to have a protein bar or, have a drink of your water or, have a little goldfish cracker snack during your work time, all of that's fine. It's just, if you're going to eat in my class, clean up after yourself. And if you're going to eat in my class, don't make it distracting. I think that's pretty reasonable. And then students, for some reason, love to congregate by the door right before the bell rings. It's not going to help you get to class that much faster if you just wait in your seat and wait to be dismissed, because it's just more polite. So please don't ever congregate at the door. Have a seat in your chairs, and I'll dismiss you. I'll say goodbye, and that's when you leave. Okay, that's pretty simple. It's a big thing here at Viewmont High School. It's a thing called grade entitlement. What grade entitlement means is that some students think they deserve the grade that they want, just because they think they're entitled to it, right? So I'll have students say things like, but I'm really smart, so I should have an A. Or I always get A's, so I need an A. Cool. So the only reason that you should have an A in this or any class is because you worked for it. You did the required assignments in the required time. Any other way to get an A, you shouldn't expect. So just like do the things to get the grade, because, you know, it's school. I would rather not have to hunt you down to help you, right? So if you're doing poorly in this class, come talk to me and be reasonable about that. Come talk to me during SRC. I don't love to have to hunt you down or call your parents. I don't love to call your parents. But if I am ever calling your parents, just know that that's part of my job and it's not personal. I'm not trying to ruin your life or anything. But I would rather not have to do any of that. If you're struggling in this class, don't make me pull a Liam Neeson's and go hunt you down. Come talk to me. Let's make a plan together. I will work with you. I'll do whatever I can to help you. Just don't make me, you know, have to hunt you down Liam Neeson style. That would be really helpful. In the last week of the term, I'll give you lots of notice about when due dates are. I'll give you lots of notice about when deadlines are. The time to get a good grade in this and any class is in the first 3 weeks of the term. That's the time where you build a good grade. If you're coming to me in the last week of the term, but it's the first time that you've cared about your grade, it's not going to be a fun conversation for you, right? But if you're coming to me with an A- and you're working the last week of the term to try to bump that up to an A, that's reasonable. And I want to have a conversation with the kind of person who wants to do just a little bit better, right? But if you're looking for a massive grade change in the last week of the term, that is not reasonable as an expectation. Goodness gracious. Also, don't be mean to substitutes. I don't like people who are mean to substitutes. Their job is already hard enough. Please don't make it more difficult for them. I don't care how weird they are. You can handle being nice to somebody for 80 minutes. I don't care how weird they are. So be cool to substitutes. Another pet peeve of mine is students having the mindset that their teachers are against them, right? Whatever I do as a teacher, it might feel corrective. Like if I give you feedback or you earn a grade that wasn't what you were hoping for, that's not because a teacher is against you. It's because part of the process of you getting what you need out of this school thing is to get feedback so you can improve, right? So I'm not against you. I'm not looking for ways to make your life miserable. Everything I do is meant to support you, even if support looks like corrective feedback in order to help you get better in the future. So I'm on your team, man. I'm not against you. I want you to succeed. Okay. And then I get students who like lie to their parents about reality, right? So I will have a student tell their parent that they were definitely in class when they weren't in class. Or I'll have a student tell their parent that they weren't late 14 times. They were only late twice, but it was, you know, a computer mistake. Or I'll have a student tell the parent, Mrs. Hernandez told me that I didn't need to worry about that assignment. Right? So here's the bottom line. If you tell your parents the truth, then you're never in a situation where you get in trouble for lying. Just be honest all the time, and it'll make your life so much easier. That goes for everything, not just school and not just my class, right? Electronic devices in this class. So electronic devices get a little bit sticky because we got to use them, but they present problems in the classroom, right? So here's the thing. You have to learn to be a polite human being when it comes to using devices when you're with people, right? So polite means having it all the way away and being present when you need to be, and then knowing the right time to use it. So in my class, you should never, ever have your phone in your hand at all without teacher permission, right? So there will be a lot of times in class where we're working on assignments and you're more than welcome to pop in your earbuds and listen to music or answer a quick text on your phone or whatever. But I will let you know about those times. If I haven't said it's okay to use your devices now, then it's not okay. And I shouldn't have to remind you about that. So your phone should be all the way away unless I say it's okay. That's the policy. I shouldn't have to remind you about that. If you do have your phone out at inappropriate times, that's going to be an issue with your citizenship. So don't make it weird. But the bottom line is, I'm not trying to control you. I'm not trying to ruin your day, just trying to help you learn how to be a polite human when it comes to navigating devices when you're with people, right? And that's the same with your earbuds. I know most of the time when you have earbuds in, they're off and you can totally hear me. But again, I don't know that. So the most polite thing to do is to take them out at the beginning of class, keep them away unless I've told you it's okay to use them. Laptops. Sophomores really struggle with laptops. I don't know what it is, but goodness gracious, right? So part of being prepared for this class is not just having your laptop here. It needs to be here 100% of the time, right? But having it here isn't all of the battle, right? It needs to be fully charged and it needs to be updated and troubleshot. So what I mean by that is you need to have it fully charged before class. If you have class at the end of the day and you've been using your computer all day and it's going to die, come in quickly and plug it in before lunch. I'm right here by the lunchroom, right? So come plug it in before lunch. That way it can be charged so you're able to use it in class. You should never expect to charge your laptop in class for a lot of reasons, one of which is safety, because if you have a cord, people can trip over it, and it's happened before. Do not expect to charge your device in class. Do it before, right? Your computer should be updated. The school technology specialist will tell you how to make it so you can receive continual updates overnight with your computer, and it won't pose a problem with you actually using it during the day. And if you're experiencing trouble with your computer, don't wait till the middle of class to go get it fixed by the STS. Do all of that before class begins so you're here and ready to do the stuff, okay? Also with your devices, never is it okay for you to be off task with your digital devices in class. There's never going to be a time when, playing a game on your computer is cool unless I've assigned it, right? There's never going to be a time when watching, skateboarding videos on YouTube is going to be appropriate. So again, you need to be on task with your devices and polite about them. Don't make it rude and don't make it weird, right? When you email me or message me, I have a lot of students who use text message level of formality when they're communicating with a teacher. And I'm a pretty breezy lady, but you also need to be respectful because it's your teacher, right? So when you're messaging me or emailing me, sometimes I'll get a student sending me an email that's like, can you grade the assignment that I just turned in? And that's the literal whole email, right? So when you're messaging any teacher or emailing any teacher, you got to include a greeting. Hello, Mrs. Hernandez. Include something polite, like, I hope you're having a nice day. Even if you didn't mean it, you can still say it because of politeness. And then at the very end, I'm not going to do some detective work to try to extrapolate your name from your email address. Just say in the email or in the message who it's from. That's just regular politeness, but the best way to do it is just imagine that the teacher that you're emailing is an actual person, and then construct the email in such a way that an actual person would appreciate that email. I don't know. It's just a thing. I have hours of communication just because I have a life and I have a family, right? And I don't know if some students don't know this, but teachers only get paid between the hours of 7 a.m. and 3 p.m. Anything that they're doing outside of those hours is basically volunteer time, right? So please don't expect responses outside the hours of my work hours, my 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's possible that I will still respond to you on a weeknight or on a weekend or a holiday, but it's important not to expect that because the work-life balance is really, really important for people, anybody, but especially people with families, right? A great time to talk to me during the day is in SRC. I usually only have SRC every other day, but if you come in on the off day and you need to talk to me, I'll still make time for you. So come talk to me during school, even if it's not a day that you have class, and we'll work it out, or you can message me. But just know that I'll try to get back to you within 24 hours. I'm usually really good about that, but 24 working hours. So if you email me at 10 p.m. on a Friday night, don't expect to hear back before Monday at 7:15 a.m. or so, right? So we just talked about a lot of rules and a lot of what not to do, but just know that this is your sophomore year in high school. You're still learning, you're still figuring out this high school thing. So in the way that I do my class, there's a lot of forgiveness and there's a lot of fixable policies as well, right? So just know that you can make up certain things and you can redo certain things. You can get the citizenship grade that you want in this class if you think about it in advance. and you can get the grade that you want in this class if you start working on it in advance, right? So there's a lot of forgiveness built into my policies. So just keep that in mind as we go. So for attendance, a lot of high school students, they really think that like attendance becomes optional in high school. Just because it's easier to skip school or skip class or be late doesn't mean it's okay. Right? So you're still expected to be here on time. You're still expected to be in class every day. And that's also the best way. Not only is it a basic expectation, but it's also the best way to do well in a class is to be there, to show up. 90% of success is just showing up, right? If you are absent though, I work really hard to have everything on Canvas. I work really hard to have Canvas be a really great place for you to look. If you're absent, you should look on Canvas before you return to class, and you should make up your missed work before you return to class so you can feel not overwhelmed and feel like you're on top of things, and you don't have to feel like you've missed out. You won't have FOMO, right? So please don't ask me, did we do anything in class, or what did we do in class last time? Because it's always going to be on Canvas, and it will always be on Canvas the day that you were absent. So check it then, right? Be on time to class. I know that the campus is big, but you should be able to reach every class within the passing time that you're given between classes if you're responsible, right? On the occasional time that you are late for class, you'll need to go over to the bookshelf that's kind of right in front of the entrance door in the classroom. And on the bookshelf, you'll find these yellow papers. So once class has begun and the bell has rung, now it's your responsibility to get yourself marked present, right? So you'll scan in. It's my responsibility before class begins, but once I'm starting to teach, the ball is now in your metaphorical court, right? So you'll take this yellow sheet and you'll fill it out, and then immediately come put it on my keyboard over on my desk, right? So if you don't do that, you're going to be marked absent for the whole class period, right? The only way that you're going to get marked late as opposed to absent is if you fill out this yellow sheet, and you fill it out every single time, even if you're just 30 seconds late. Okay. So just keep that late slip in mind. It's really important. It's really hard to manage 120 students a day and their attendance. That's just the quickest and easiest and most efficient way to do it. So now with late work, the late work policies in this class are not meant to just like ruin your life and make you miserable. They're actually there to help encourage you to stay with me in the learning process. They're meant to save you from yourself, essentially, right? So anytime you're turning in late work, anytime you missed an assignment or you're behind on stuff, it's just interrupting your learning process and your progress, right? So late work is any good student's enemy, not just because teachers want stuff on time and it's time consuming to grade late work, which is true. But the real problem with late work is that it interrupts your process and your learning, right? So if you ask me how you can improve your grade, but you've turned in stuff late the whole semester, the whole term, right? I'm going to say, do you have a time machine? Because the best way to improve your grade is to turn in your work on time when it was assigned, right? So the short of it is that late work is accepted in this class, right? Which is pretty generous. There are some teachers in the school that don't accept late work at all. So the fact that late work is accepted is already pretty generous, right? But just know that there are drawbacks and caveats to that. So late work will negatively affect your citizenship grade. Assignments that you turn in late cannot be redone. So if you turn it in late, your score is your score is your score. But if you turn in assignments on time, you can redo most of them. If your assignment loses its purpose, once you've turned it in late, then you'll also get a score penalty on that assignment, and you'll know what kinds of assignments those are. I'll talk to you about those. And there are some assignments that can just never be turned in late because they're completely pointless if you turned them in after the due date, like an assignment that was meant to help you review for a test. If you turn in the review after the test, there's no point to it. It's just wasting everybody's time, right? But for the most part, most assignments are accepted late. There's just caveats to that. So your best bet is still just to turn everything in on time, which shouldn't be that hard in this class because you'll be given class time to do most of your work. With that, time management is really important, and we will talk about time management in this class. Boy, will we talk about it, and I will help give you tips for that. But mostly, the important thing you're going to learn is how to prioritize the things that you got to do in your life. And always, always, even though you might not want to, do the things you need to do before you do the things that you want to do in your life. And we will talk a lot about that, but being able to prioritize your life, everyone has the same 24 hours in the day. Some students were able to get the assignment in and some students weren't. And that's based on how they prioritized their tasks within those 24 hours, right? So we'll talk a lot about that. But citizenship grading, just know that there are ways to kind of make up a low citizenship grade if you do it in advance before the end of the term. But without any makeups and without any redos, here is the spread in terms of assignments. Your citizenship grade goes down with your habits, right? So keep your disclosure and just know that you have 4 late assignments, you automatically have an S, right? If you have 4 unexcused absences, you automatically have an N, right? So there's a lot of things to think through, but there's a lot of ways that your citizenship grade can be lower. There's also a lot of ways though, that you can improve your citizenship grade just by being a responsible and a nice person. And there are makeups involved. We'll talk about that in a bit. One question I want to answer is these technology issues on this technology row. Just know that what I mean by technology issues is you arriving without your laptop charged, you having to be reminded about the cell phone policy, that kind of stuff. So if you have any specific questions about that, let me know, but otherwise keep your disclosure handy so you'll be able to predict with accuracy what your citizenship grade is going to be at the end of the term. So I talked about those makeup and redo policies. Here are those. So almost every assignment in this class can be redone if it was turned in on time. If you're willing to do the work and get the skills, I'm willing to help you with that. But I can't help you with a redo process if you're also behind in the process. So if it was turned in on time, you can redo it. But a lot of students try to have like a loophole with this policy where they'll turn in like a question with only part of it. They'll turn in an assignment with only part of it done, thinking that they're going to redo it later. You can't do that. The assignment has to be complete and turned in on time in order to be able to redo it. That's what we mean by turned in on time and in good faith. It needs to be complete and your best work, and then you can redo it if you don't like your score. Also, your citizenship grades can be made up, but that has to be made up in advance of the end of the term, right? So your citizenship grade can be made up by coming in for SRC. So if you were tardy to class and you want to make that up, you can come in to SRC and you spend the SRC period in here, and that makes up a late. You can also spend an SRC period in the classroom, and that also makes up a late assignment submission. It doesn't cover if you had a late penalty on the score, it doesn't cover that, but it does make up that late in terms of your citizenship. So if you look at the citizenship grades in the class, right? If for some reason you really can't have an N for eligibility purposes for football or whatever, but you have 5 late assignments, you can come in for SRC and make up one of those. So you're in the S range, right? So just remember that if you are participating in any activities or sports within the school, there's probably a citizenship requirement, meaning that you can't have N's or U's. And for that reason, I allow you to make it up in SRC, but you can't wait till the last minute to do it. You got to kind of make it up as you go along and plan ahead with that. So again, there's a lot of forgiveness and a lot of ability to make up or redo things to get the grade that you want or get the citizenship grade that you want. And really the policies of this class are just built around the idea that you are behaving age appropriately and you're taking responsibility for your choices and not blaming them on anybody else. That's really just the whole idea of high school in general, but the policies in this class as well. And just remember that I can't fix what I don't know about. I can't read your mind. So if you're having an issue or you're struggling with something, come talk to me about it, because I can't fix what I don't know about, but I certainly will do whatever I can when the issue is communicated to me. So please don't hesitate to come talk to me. You're not bothering me. Please ask for help when you need it. I'm here for you. I think you're going to enjoy this class. Most students really do. It's fun, it's interesting, and you can get the grades that you are looking for as long as you're willing to work with me and be on my team. So let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for completing this assignment. Okay, bye.